while I spiel on here a little while, I will be able to wait. Maybe we'll just get lucky in our last.
Oh my God.
Tom, you're muted.
I didn't do it. I've been talking, so
The
I think
computer does that sometimes.
No, I know. Sonny's on me.
Sonny, cut it out.
Sorry,
Anyway.
I'm trying to mute everyone except Tom, and it's
I
not
understand.
working.
I understand.
Okay.
Well, if I get muted again, I will start using hand signals, and you may not like them. Anyway,
Love it.
let's get on to the orders of the day. Welcome to the December Speakers Bureau meeting. We've been doing this annually, where we have make up for Toastmasters International's ultimate wisdom of deciding not to have fall contests, and so we thought it was some things have been missing. And one of those things that are specifically missing is tall tales. There are so many people that haven't seen a tall tale and have any idea what it was. I'm scratching my head, and I'm not to brag, but I think I may have been the last person to win tall tales, and that was a few years ago. So,
amen, Tom. You're right.
So anyway, we are going to try to do some tall tales, and we have some people volunteered, and I think it's going to be some fun. So we're going to have to draw for those positions. And then for the humorous, we'll go after that. Then we have table topics. We have less people signed up for that, but I will be using, if we have time for it, the original Tall Tales from when Tall Tales started, using the original set of guidelines of Tall Tales. And so that means we will have, every speaker will have a different topic, and everyone is expected to use the word of the day, just like tradition 40 years ago when the Tall Tales Table Topics contest got started. So what I need to do now, and I'll have my trusty secretary here, Connie is here on the sideline. She can be writing in the contestants. And since we do not have Judy still, we will go with 5 speakers in the humorous speech contest. And those 5 speakers are not in order of speaking, because we will be drawing for order. Dan McGill, all the way from London, and Richard Snyder from Rancho Cucamonga. No, we won't keep doing that. Alipio de la Vera, Ralph Dieter, and I think I gotta see whether Jose is. Is Jose here? So maybe we only have 4.
Jose Vizcarra.
Vizcarra, I don't see his name here. Jose,
Judy's here.
Judy's here. Okay, Judy.
Somewhere.
All right, Judy, are you ready to speak? Oh, and Jose is here too.
Jose's here.
So it looks like we will have 6 speakers.
This is humorous, right?
In the humorous, 6 in the humorous, right? But I'm going to try to do tall tales first, so we'll go back over the other side.
Tom, Judy, what is your last name? Oh, you're muted, Judy.
Well, she's supposed to be. So I will give it. So I will give all the names in each contest. Right now, the names in each contest are Dan McGill, Richard Snyder, Jose Vizcarra, Alipio de Rivera, Ralph Dieter, and Judy Van Arsdale. That's in humorous. In tall tales, we have Michael Alexander, Ray Robles, Roxanne Anderson, Kevin Maviers, and Judy Van Arsdale. And we will draw for position. And I will do that probably right now, since I have a good note taker over here. And what we'll do is have those speakers, so maybe they can unmute themselves. I will ask them to choose a card. And since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speakers, then you will choose a card from Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let me do humorous first, so I'll get that order. Okay, so I'll start at the top of the list, and maybe you can tell me what card you wish to choose. And then I will show you how I have pre-selected the assignment. So your Ace might be 2nd or 4th or whatever, but you'll see the paper that I wrote it on ahead of time, and I will show you so you know I wasn't picking on anybody. All right, so first start with in humor. We don't actually, I can show them your cards. Yeah, but I don't think it really, just pick a card, any card,
Okay, who goes first?
but it's got to be 1 through 6, ace through 6. So I guess we'll start with Dan. What card do you choose?
Ace.
Ace is the ace. Okay. And the number 2, Richard, what do you choose?
Richard, you there?
Richard, did you choose a card?
Unmute. I'll take number 6.
6 for Richard is a 6. And Alipio,
I'll take 3.
3. And Ralph,
4.
4. And Jose,
Number 2.
number 2. And Judy,
Judy will be
what's
5.
left?
5.
Well, what's
Five.
left?
5.
Okay, 5.
Okay,
Okay.
5.
So I will show you the paper now that has those assignments on it. We have 6, right? Okay, here's the paper. And so you can, well, maybe you can't because I'm a wrong kind of background here. Let me get rid of my background. So it looks better. All right, maybe you can see it now better. There it is. So if an ace is number 2, so Dan is number 2. Whoever chose the 2 is the 4th speaker. Whoever chose get my finger out of the way. The 3 is the 1st speaker. 4 is the 5th speaker. 5 is the 3rd speaker. And 6 is the 6th speaker. Okay, now let me pick order for tall tales. And again, the same process applies. And we'll start with Michael Alexander at the top of my list. So what card do you choose?
The 3.
Number 3. And then Ray, what card do you choose?
Number 5.
All right. And Roxanne?
4.
4. And Kevin?
I'll take the deuce.
2. And Judy, he gets whatever's left, which is
Ace.
the
Okay.
8. Okay. And that is for 5. And so I think I can do the same thing. And you can tell from if I get it in the right spot. The ace is 2nd. The deuce is 4th. Number 3 is 3. 4 is 5. And number 5 is 1st. And that will be the first contest that we do. Oh, I can't say the word contest. Showcase competition anyway. But Michael's not here. I can say whatever I want. Okay. Now let me go back to my more fun background. I think I can do that because I'm not going to.
Tom, can you give the speaking order for the humorous speech contest?
I certainly can. And that will be the second contest. We'll start with tall tales. But the humorous order, and I will do them both.
Ray is first.
Oh, in tall tales, I'll do tall tales first. The first speaker will be Ray. Second speaker will be Judy. Third speaker will be Michael Alexander. Fourth speaker is Kevin. And number 5 is Roxanne. Everybody got that? Okay. And in humorous, number 1 is Alipio. Number 2, Dan Miguel. Number 3 is Judy. Number 4 is Jose. Number 5 is Ralph. And cleaning up is Richard Snyder. Then we will do table topics later, depending on how much time we have, but we'll explain that later. Anyway, so tall tales, there's not much in the way of rules, but I did want to talk about tall tales just a little bit. And basically it is just an exaggerated story according to the Toastmaster rule book, and the exaggerated story oftentimes comes with a twist at the end, not necessarily a requirement. Remember that all members of the audience are judges. So you all are the judges. So you have to take into account whether you think you like the tall tale and you will end up being an equal democracy. Ralph, you'll like that. It'll be a democracy, one vote, one person. Nobody gets to write in votes next week. You know, you'll have to turn it in today or lose out. And we will then determine, get my list of assignments out, how well we did. And it's all tonight is all about having fun. One of our contestants said, does it have to be original? And I said, all I care about is getting people to hear about Tall Tales and getting them to be able to have some fun tonight. And I have to show you off. We do actually have real recycled, real trophies. And the winner of Tall Tales will get, well, I got to get rid of my virtual background again. Yeah. So you can see what I'm doing here.
I thought that was your house, Tom.
There we go. That is first place, even though it's a little bit smaller, but many of you have seen the throwing of the Bull Award. And that's it. And this was a contribution that somebody won. Somebody may even, nobody will remember. Pat Nicholson it was contributed to the cause in 1982. So it's almost an antique. Well, maybe it is an antique. And second place would be this. So we'll be going with first and second place in each of the contests. All right. Do we have any questions from the audience before we start? Let me get my descriptions of my. Oh yes, I better do timing. I know Marilyn was here. Is she here? Marilyn, are you here? I don't see her. So I have a backup timer, and that is Connie. We have the order here. Make sure I have all my titles for Tall Tale. Yeah, this is correct.
Marilyn's not there.
You have my second.
What?
My order for Tall Tales. Right, Judy. Okay. All right. Okay, the timing for Tall Tales. And in history, there's been some debate about what it should be. And one of the experts in the district is Bob Palmer, and he thinks it should be 2 to 4 or 2 to 3. And International likes 3 to 5, and so it's 3 to 5. We will go with that. So 3 to 5 minutes with a disqualification at 5 minutes and 31 seconds. And in the past, we've had some people go significantly over. So please try to pay attention to the lighting. And if I don't see Marilyn here, I do have the ability to give you some colored backgrounds. You have to learn to interpret what my computer's definition of yellow is. But green is here. This is yellow. And this is red. So a 3 to 5, it will be green at 3, yellow at 4, red at 5, disqualification at 5 minutes and 31 seconds. Now, are there any questions?
Yes, Tom, did you define a word of the day, please?
No word of the day. There'll be a word of the day in table topics. And that's something that was done 40 years ago when we had table topics contests. We will get a word of the day in table topics, and you are expected to use it. You're not disqualified, but of all the years I watched the table topics contest, nobody ever won that didn't use the word properly, appropriately, as it was supposed to be used, and not just throw it in there just to be fun. So we'll get to that when we get to table topics. No word of the day in humorous, no word of the day in Tall Tales. Any other questions? Okay.
Wait, Tom.
Yes.
I do want to mention this meeting is recorded since there are so many guests here who may not realize we do record this meeting.
Right. And since we opened it up to all Toastmasters, not QSs, I probably should include Toastmaster decorum. You want to make sure that you don't use some of the same words that I use when I watch the election results. Anyway, so let's go on to that. We have our full contingent of Tall Tales, 5. I think that's a little better than we did last year, so that's a good thing. And let's go with ours. In contest rules, standard rule is name, title, name, and then you take over. Speaker number 1. How do I get the wrong number here? Let's-
You have the, you had,
Oh, what am I looking? Oh, I'm probably still.
so you were going through the order you had them listed.
All right, show me again. So I got it.
Ray,
All
Judy,
right, this way. Well, let me make sure I have them in order then.
Judy, Michael, Kevin,
Oh, there's Judy. Okay, so Judy is number 2. Number 3 is Michael. Number 4 is
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay. Now I have my ducks in a row.
Okay, so you'll introduce them formally.
I didn't hear anything. What was that?
So you will, Tom, you will introduce them formally?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay,
Name.
thanks.
Name, title, name.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Standard contest rules. I don't know. That may not be a standard. Nothing else is going to be standard, but no, there'll be a couple things. But anyway. Speaker number 1. What did I do? Okay, here we go. Ray Robles. Tail from the skies. Tail from the skies. Ray Robles.
Well, there we were, Tom, Toastmasters, flying along at about 10,000 feet elevation, that is. The skies were clear and vibrantly blue, crisp and alluring. It was in the back seat of an old Bell Huey helicopter. The rear doors were both open, which is the norm on a warm, sunny afternoon. Actually, it was very, very warm down in the at ground level. And at 10,000 feet, of course, not only was it cool, but being at cloud level, a gentle mist began entering one side of the aircraft door, floating just off the cool gray floor of the aircraft and exiting the other door, and leaving all aboard with a sense of awe and wonderment at the intensity of the beauty that we were experiencing, both the pilots in the front seat and myself in the back. We were flying the cloud tops with our skids just skirting along the gorgeous blue-gray clouds. Inside the aircraft, we were all sharing in the majestic feeling of the intense yet calm ecstasy, both pristine and spiritual. Something one might experience only in a dream. But in fact, this was a perfect setting for an angel to appear. Honestly, an absolute, not out of the context experience. Then a distant vision of a long ago situation rendered into my mind. Long ago and far away in a distant land, a very similar experience took place. As some thrill-seeking crew chiefs had done before me, I too would follow suit. I would step out into the aircraft skids and walk up to the pilot's door, tap on his or her window, and scare the bejesus out of him. It was a sort of coming to term ritualistic event for some newer crew chiefs, but certainly not of the faint of heart. I felt the calling. I slowly unbuckled my seatbelt, stepped out into the hovering stratosphere that stood floating all around us, and I inched my way on the very soft, fluffy clouds to the aircraft commander's door. I knocked on her window, and as she turned her head, our eyes met. I smiled, and she nearly passed out as I realized too late, in my hesitant to haste, that she thought me to be a heavenly fate. You see, in her near comatose state, she let go of the controls. So there I was, at 10,000 feet, deciding whether to kiss my tail goodbye or merely awaken to the fact this would be another tale for me to tell from the heavenly state of the cool blue skies. Mr. Toastmaster.
Tom, you're muted.
Yeah. Okay, let me, you guys don't have ballots to fill out, so I'm not going to give you a minute of silence in between. You're going to just sit there and soak it up. So let's go ahead on to speaker number 2, Judy Van Arsdale. A porker in the family. A porker in the family, Judy Van Arsdale. You're muted.
Okay. Hold on. I'm having a little issue. Hold on. Okay, long ago, when I was 16 years old, I was visiting Michigan. It was my first week in the big USA. It was a spring morning, a beautiful spring day. I decided to take a walk and check out the countryside around me, the beautiful farms. There were horses neighing away, dogs barking, chickens running around, roosters crowing, and lots of cows going moo, moo. I saw something extraordinary, and I heard something too. It was a pig, but he wasn't just any pig. He was a big, beautiful pink pig. So you saw what I saw also. And there was a farmer standing next to him. So I stopped and asked farmer, "Hey, what's your name?" He said, "Oh, I'm Mr. McDonald. What is your name?" I said, "I'm Judy. I just came here from Taiwan." So I said, "That's a very unusual pig. He's got one prosthetic leg on." So I said, what's so unique? I've never seen a pig like that." Well, he said, "Oh, that's no ordinary pig. That pig, let me tell you about that pig. That pig saved my life. When I was driving my tractor, the wheel was going wobbly. So I got off and checked on the wheel, and the tractor rolled on me. And I was screaming bloody murder. The pig saw it, and the minute he wasted no time. He ran and took off and ran straight to my wife and hugged her and yanked her dress and wouldn't let go until she followed him to where I was. And my wife rolled the tractor off of me. And I said, "But what? How did the pig get a prosthetic leg?" I said, "Oh, let me tell you, that pig is so special, extraordinary. When my son was swimming in the hole, my son went down the water 3 times and was so exhausted. And the pig dived in the water and gripped his shorts with his teeth and pulled him out onto the shore." So, "Wow, that's amazing," I exclaimed. "That is one special pig." He said, "Oh, that pig is smarter than the dog. When my farm was on fire one day and that pig saw it, he ran around squealing, and bloody murder and woke me and my wife up. We ran and rescued my daughter before the roof caved in. I said, but how does that explain the pig's prosthetic leg? He said, oh, a special pig like that should not be eaten all at once. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Go, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, we are having
Yeah.
fun tonight. That's the whole idea of our getting together. And
Amen.
our speaker number 3. And let me see if I can get to his title. Yes, Michael Alexander, Stalking the Wild Tofu.
Oh,
Stalking the Wild Tofu, Michael Alexander.
My great-grandpappy was Buffalo Bill. My grandpappy wrestled alligators and was known as Alligator Andy. My father was Rhinoceros Randy, who married my mother, Cockroach Carol, who, due to her fast heels and deadly accurate castanets, was also known as the flamenco flea killer. I am a vegetarian. They call me Tofu Tom. I was leading a safari, stalking and looking for wild tofu, the real tofu. I had beside me 3 guests, and of course, my bearers. Because when you're stalking tofu, you can't use regular chopsticks. You need the huge ones. And so my bearer, Abbott, had one. My bearer, Costello, had the other. We'd walked deep through the fields of alfalfa. I was looking carefully, seeking signs. Was there something? Was there a sign of soybeans? Yes, we spotted the spore of the soybeans and moved further and further forward. The time came when we were tired and we broke for lunch. So each of my guests brought forward their sandwiches and began to eat and talk about the wonders of tofu and how special wild tofu is as compared with the stuff that you just buy in the store. Suddenly, I heard a scream from Costello, and I turned and looked, and there was a spot of red on the shirt of one of my guests. Abbott screamed. The 2 superstitious bearers knew what I knew. There was no question. That spot of red was sriracha. Now, any of you who have watched Mung Bean Week on the Nature Channel know that the wild mung bean can smell sriracha from 5 kilometers away. There is no more deadly beast in the vegetarian world than the mung bean. And I tried to calm my bearers down as I withheld my rage at the foolish tourist beside me. And then suddenly I heard it. The rustling of alfalfa sprouts in the distance. And the sound, the only sound that you could possibly hear that would terrorize me. I heard the sound of the mung beans, the chants, the racing of the mung beans as they ran towards us. I grabbed my people. I set us running. Where could we go? It's hard to outrun a mung bean. But I remembered the chasm we passed, and I took us as fast as I could to that chasm. Quickly, I had Abbott and Costello lay out a bridge made from the chopsticks. And we crossed that bridge, the mung bean close behind us. And just before they came, we pushed the chopsticks and they fell into the chasm, and the mung beans died. And we lived. Remember, next time you eat that tofu, the risk of lives that came with it. Now, only one group has ever survived a mung bean attack, and that's mine. And so in some hunting lodges like this, instead of calling me Tofu Tom, I'm known as Mung Bean Michael. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, thank you. Hey, this has been a lot of fun so far. Let's keep the fun going. We'll go on to speaker number 4, and that is Kevin Mavers. Topic is, get to right, it's the epic ballad of Big Jim. The epic ballad of Big Jim. Kevin Mavers.
Fellow Toastmasters, I want to tell you a story about a guy I know. Goes by the name of Big Jim. That's not a very original name, but I want you to know that's not hyperbole. And I'm not just talking about his sheer physical size, but the fact he's a big man in many, many ways. Bigger than John Wayne? Sure. But maybe just a little bit smaller than Paul Bunyan, but not by much. Big Jim was at least 6'6", weighed in at 255. And Big Jim didn't ride a big blue ox like Paul Bunyan, but he did ride a big, beautiful Clydesdale named Clyde. Now, Big Jim was actually a nickname because for some reason he didn't like to be associated with his great uncle. Big Jim's real name was James Wyatt Earp. Yet, Big Jim was named after the famous hero of the OK Corral, whose reputation as a law and order man was known far and wide. But Big Jim wasn't much into busting heads or dealing with cattle rustlers. Big Jim was a true cowboy, a poet, and a naturalist. The kind of man who could spend days, weeks, or maybe even months out on the range, tending his herd, caring for the land, and penning a ballad or two about his adventures along the way. Although Big Jim did love spending a lot of time alone, and he could be quite happy out on the range all by himself, he absolutely loved Christmas. See, Big Jim's heart was every bit as big as the open range and the blue sky above. Every year, he and Clyde would dress up as Santa and Rudolph just to deliver presents to the children and the families in need and to bring a little joy to others less fortunate than he. Big Jim played Santa nearly every single year, making everyone's Christmas just a little bit merrier, except for one very, very bad year. A few years ago, a storm blew down on the open range with the fury of a Category 5 hurricane. Winds so fierce and snow so thick, it was like wet, gooey, white mud. Fences were downed and roads made impassable. The cattle were scattered across hundreds of miles of open range, across the high mountains, and down into the desolate canyons. Big Jim knew what had to be done. He hitched up Clyde to a sled and packed it with as many supplies as they could carry, and off they went in search of the lost herd. He knew if he could just make it to the winter cabin, he could set up camp and begin his search. But the herd was spread out, and the horrendous weather made the search difficult. 1 week became 2, and then a third week passed. And with each passing day, Big Jim knew that Christmas Day was approaching fast. For the first time in years, Big Jim was going to miss Christmas. But finally, Big Jim completed the search. The herd was gathered, and he sat down to rest in his cabin. He was exhausted. But as he was resting, his thoughts turned to the children he missed so much and to Christmas Day spent alone. Before turning into the night, he wrote this poem. So how do you know it's Christmas when you're out here all alone? The calendar is 3 years old and there ain't no telephone. The boss brought supplies on Saturday, at least I think it was. But this was Christmas Day and I was spending it all alone. I've been watching for a sign, some subtle revelation. Are the cows exchanging presents? The varmints stringing lights? Or the coyotes howling in harmony to the tune of Silent Night? While I waited for some clues to come and land right in my lap, my patience was rewarded because last night I set a trap. When I woke, my bait was gone this morning, so I'm sure it's Christmas now. Someone drank my milk and ate the cookies and all the reindeer chow. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Fire up the grill and get the bread on to bake, because I'll be home before dinner tonight and I'm bringing fresh Christmas steak. Mr. Toastmaster, back to you.
I was in that Christmas spirit right up until the end. That's a wonderful, fun twist. So let's all appreciate that. And I will get us on to Tall Tales number 5. Roxanne Anderson, The Protest. The Protest, Roxanne Anderson.
Once upon a time, the king died, and the prince became the premier of the province of Porridgeville. Now, the tax burden had been light under the prince's paternal parent, but the prince decided to raise the tax on potatoes, pickles, and peas to finance his pastrami habit. But the peasants' primary provision was pea porridge. They even put it on pickled peppers. The people pleaded for mercy, but appeals proved pointless. Soon, a powerful political party developed. They wanted Peter Piper to lead them, but he was too busy selling seashells down by the seashore. Instead, the public presented the polished Mr. Peter P. Poston as president. Poston petitioned, and his people paraded around the palace walls. The populace even painted themselves pea green to protest, but the prince persisted in taxing the peas. What were the peasants to do? Parliamentary procedure was abandoned. They decided to launch an assault on the palace. Now, the prince had many animals protecting the premises: pythons and piranhas, pumas, porcupines, and pigs. Pigs! The public peeled potatoes into the plaza plumbing and plugged the palace plumbing, but the animals drove them away. Mr. Poston decided the animals needed to be neutralized. The pythons were sent to Peoria, parcel post, postage prepaid. The porcupine's prickly points were plastered with Peter Pan peanut putty. The public poisoned the pigs. The result was that the putrefying smell permeated the palace, and the prince puked. Next, the posse pole vaulted into the palace and purged and purified the protecting pumas with pine sol and prunes. As their final act of terrorism, the invaders pumped pea porridge into the royal pond around the perimeter of the property and polluted the piranhas. Finally, the paranoid prince capitulated to Mr. Poston and lowered the tariff on peas. Peace permeated the province, but the people of Porridgeville have never forgotten the Poston Pea Party.
All right, thank you very much. That was fun. I will try to, while you guys are collecting my ballot counter, we'll be sending a ballot for you to vote on. But I do want to interview each of you. And so, let me give timings, I guess. Everyone qualified. That's what matters. We will have no disqualifications for timing. So you have the opportunity to vote for everybody when the ballot is able to come up. Oh, I'll get rid of my too many plates in the air, I guess. Okay, you have a choice. And in the meantime, while you're submitting your ballots, we will, probably against similar protocol, we will interview each of the contestants. Just all I really want to hear, I hear a little bit about how much fun you had. I hope you had as much fun putting together your tall tale as we had listening. And so let me hear your name, first speaker, and your club, and maybe a little bit about what went through your head putting together a tall tale. And we will start with, who was number one? Ray. Bring us a few words about your club and a few thoughts that came to mind in putting together your tall tale.
Thank you, Tom. I'm currently with Courageous Communicators in Barstow. I was with a few clubs previously, but I've seemed to have taken the liberty to narrow things down a bit. And so currently I'm just attending one club and enjoying it. Probably because I have to drive all the way from my bedroom to the living room to attend the meeting. Thank you, Skype, or Zoom. I've been with Toastmasters about 5, maybe 7 years. I really enjoy it. But I think more than enjoying it, it's actually a need. We all have a need to express. That's innate within our nature, just to express. And so I certainly enjoy the platform that Toastmasters provides. I'm growing from it. I love it. I enjoy all things expressive. And certainly that includes watching fellow Toastmasters, regardless of the city, state, or country that they're in, watching them speak, watching them present, learning from them, and taking whatever they have to offer home. And because of that, I give thanks for this organization. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Ray, for that. I know it's really true. You would think Toastmasters might have an opportunity to grow tremendously because of that need for human contact. So, all right, let's go on to Judy. I know Judy belongs to a club that I belong to and participates in another one. Judy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, this is my first year having the opportunity to compete in Veterans Speakers Bureau contest by Zoom. And I spent the last week brainstorming on what topics to come up with that would be fit, that would reach the bar of the quality for Toastmasters speech. And finally, I settled on this one. It took a lot of fine tuning and to come up with the version I was satisfied. I didn't answer my phone for 2 days. That's why when Tom tried to reach me, he had to go through Bruce, my friend. And Bruce knows that I'm not a phone person because people waste so much time, and I have better things to do than to wait by the phone for phone calls. So I get a lot more done when I set aside certain time for phone calls and answering messages. The rest of the time, I'm feeding my brain with topics for Toastmasters speeches.
We're certainly glad you got a chance to get started in competition. Hopefully you get to do more of it in the future. All right, let's go on to speaker number 3, Michael Alexander.
Thank you very much. I'm a member of 3 clubs, ACTS in District 100, Online Presenters, which is actually going to be doing a special presentation, putting together their own conference at about 5:30 in the morning, I'm afraid, on Saturday. But at vtmtoastmos.org is the link. And I'm also a member of That's Debatable here in District 12. This speech has been waiting for years to germinate. 7 years ago, I was eating lunch with my good friend Stephen Ball, who was eating too much meat and not enough vegetables. When the Tall Tales contest was announced, I had decided on my topic. Unfortunately, I was chief judge and couldn't do the speech. So for 7 years, I've been waiting to do Stalking the Wild Tofu. Hopefully it hasn't gone stale.
Well, that's wonderful. It's not going to get me to swear off steak, but I will certainly appreciate the remember and the thoughts of it. And I loved your background for this particular speech. All right, speaker number 4, Kevin Mavers. Let's hear from you.
Good evening again, everybody. My name is Kevin Mavers. I'm a member of Desert Toasters, but I'm actually a returning member to Toastmasters International. I took an extended vacation for about 15 years. I was, my family was actually my dad and my brother were founding members of Eye Openers Toastmasters up in Lancaster, up in the high desert. But I moved down here to the low desert about 15, 16 years ago. And it wasn't until this year I decided I needed to get back into Toastmasters because we're doing this a lot more. We're doing this Zoom thing. And I have been attending so many really, really bad Zoom conferences. I thought to myself, there is no way I want to look that bad on Zoom or sound that bad. So I thought, what a great opportunity to jump back into Toastmasters. So this is my first contest since coming back. I had way too much fun putting my speech together and delivering it. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed putting it together and delivering.
Well, Kevin, it certainly was fun. And again, I liked your background, so fitting to the story you were telling. So that's a very, very appropriate. And you've been in one of the clubs that I have attended. And next we have Roxanne Anderson, who is a member of my home club that I belong to forever. Tell us about what you want to tell us about, Roxanne.
Well, that would be Club 1348. It's the Riverside Breakfast Club. And what I need to tell you about this tall tale is that I did not write it. My husband did about 40 years ago. And he wasn't able to give it tonight. So I was hoping you might just enjoy hearing it. And there it is.
Okay, well, we had so much fun with that. I would like to, since we don't do too much of that, I'm going to suggest to my own club tomorrow, and maybe some other clubs will decide to have a theme day, and they get some people to volunteer to do tall tales, and we can wake it up and start doing more of it in the future. I think it's a fun thing to add, give us a little bit of chance to exercise our mind a little bit. We will make announcements when that opportunity comes up at the end. But right now we will get on to the humorous speech contest. Remember, it's 5, timing is 5, 6, and 7. No green at 5, the yellow at 6, red at 7, disqualification at 7:31. And now I have to get to my list of speakers. And if I am not mistaken, hopefully everybody's ready and prepared. Nobody abandoned ship while we were gone. And let me see. Oh, okay, here we go. First one, Alipio de Vieira, title, Showdown. Showdown, Alipio de Vieira.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, only 2 of us remain of the 7 who had started. Icy blue eyes locked with mine in a steady, unwavering glare. Nervously, I made my move. Slowly, I reached down and suddenly threw what was in my hand. Twin black $100 poker chips tumbled through the air to land with twin thuds on to a green felt table. Match and raise, I challenged. My foe looked at her hand and at the cards displayed on the table. As she pondered, I licked at lips suddenly gone dry. She caught the movement out of the corner of her eye. Her gaze narrowed and a smile lit her lips. And I knew then I'd lost. Match and raise, no. match your bet. And she matched the $200 raise. We showed our hands. It was her 7 high straight to my busted bluff. I'd lost. Dispirited, I slumped in my chair as my foe reached over and raked in a pot of over $2,000. Welcome to the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas, where neon lights blend night into day, where the sound of slot machines play a constant chorus and the scent of cigarette smoke lingers in the air. These are the sights, the sounds, and the smells of gambling and the place of the best institution of street smart negotiation on the planet, where you are not judged by an abstract letter grade, oh no, but by the amount of cold, hard, accumulated cash. For you see, each game of chance is a class, each hand a lesson, and each bet a test. A new hand in play, 7-card stud poker, the game. Only 3 of us remain of the 7 who had started. Myself, an obvious wet behind the ears college graduate. The other, a man wearing dark aviator sunglasses to hide the eyes. And a sweet smiling lady with gray hair, nicknamed Granny, who had beat me the hand before. The 7th and final card was now dealt, and the dealer announces in dulcet tones, ace high 2 pair to aviator glasses, flush to the kid, and a straight to Granny. The man wearing the aviator glasses started the bet. Check, he said, signaling that he knew he had the weakest of the 3 possibilities. Granny then chimed in, raise $500. And I challenged right back, I'll see your 500 and raise you 1,000. Facing a bet of $1,500 to stay in the game, aviator glasses folded his cards, signifying raising the white flag, and departed the field, leaving only Granny and me, showdown time again. She looked at her cards in her hand and at the cards displayed on the table. It was her possible straight to my possible flush. Now a flush beats a straight. I had her beat, but did I? As she pondered, I again licked at lips suddenly gone dry. Again, she caught the movement out of the corner of her eye. Again, her gaze narrowed. And then a smile lit her lips. And I knew then I had won. See your $1,000 raise and raise you $2,000 more, she challenged. And before her chips had stopped spinning on the table, she heard, I'll see your $2,000 raise and raise you 2,000 more. And as I looked at her, the smile that had lit her lips had fallen into a frown. But she was in too deep now to walk away without knowing. So she mumbled, call, and threw in the $2,000 match, earning the right to see the cards. We showed our hands. Again, she had filled her straight, but this time I had not just a flush, but a straight flush. The second highest hand in all the game of poker. And as I leaned over to rake in a pot of over $7,000, Granny said to me, that's no way to treat a lady. In which I shot back, ma'am, ladies aren't card sharks dressed in sheep's clothing. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that. That's a good start to our contest. And we are ready now to get on to speaker number 2. And that speaker is Dan McGill. title, Find the Right Words. Find the Right Words, Dan McGill.
Thank you. I visited a Toastmasters club in Ireland last year, and I saw a lady practicing a eulogy speech for her dad. As she spoke, there were a couple on the front row laughing. Afterwards, I asked them why they'd laughed, and they said, "Oh, we weren't laughing at Judy. Not really. It's just, well, she gives that speech about 5 times a year for the last 35 years. Her dad died in 1985, and of course that's really sad. But she's been to the district final with that same speech 4 times. Well, typical Toastmaster, I thought. We all love to milk a good speech when we find one, don't we? Contest chair, Toastmasters and guests. I'd had a brainwave. With all my experience here at Toastmasters, I should be able to write some prize-winning eulogies for my friends and family when they finally go to those Toastmaster clubs in the skies. And, well, there are loads of them up there, by the way. Oh yeah, there's even a speaker's bureau. Okay, up there it's called the Sleepers Bureau, but still. None of their speeches are very good, though. Well, they're all ghost-written, and their body language, non-existent. Now, my problem is that when I'm giving a speech, I normally need about, well, 3 years to write and rehearse. And I wasn't going to get that kind of lead time with a eulogy. But then I realized I didn't need to wait. I could get started now. I began with my family. I made a list of the most likely runners and riders, did some research, checked the stats, and cracked an algorithm, all to try and work out whose eulogy I should write first. And when I was done, I called my dad. He could be dead by the time I finished dialing at this rate. Oh, hi, Dad. Daniel. I'm just writing your eulogy. Never know how soon we might need it. Also, I kind of need to have it up to competition standard. Silence. Anyway, I thought maybe you could remind me of some happy times we've shared together, and I'll jot down a couple of recommendations, things for you to work on next time. Next time? What are you talking about next time? Honestly, you've changed. Ever since you started hanging around with all those hip, young, well-to-do Toastmasters, you think you're too good for us. Hip, young, well-to-do? It's just as well this isn't a video call. Here, speak to your mother. Hi, Mum. Oh, hi, Daniel. Did you remember to wish your dad a happy birthday? Yeah. Are you sure? Because he's just come downstairs with a copy of his will and a bottle of whiteout. Anyway, Mum, I just wanted to ask you about your eulogy, if that's okay. No, that's all cleared up now, thanks, Daniel. Doctor says I can get back on the whiskey. Mum, not urology, eulogy. Things I'm going to say about you at your funeral. Was she taking the... I didn't need their help anyway. That night, I wrote a eulogy speech for them both. And if you don't mind me saying, they had district champion written all over them. Then I got carried away. And I started to write poetic eulogies for everyone I know. I call them dead talks. Eulogies worth spreading. First, I did the rest of my family. Then, all of my friends. Then, acquaintances I wouldn't even really class as friends. And finally, my fellow Toastmasters. By the time I'd finished writing, if anybody I knew as much as coughed in the wrong direction, I was there, ready to grieve. in 5 to 7 prize-winning minutes. A few months later, I was back in Ireland, and I went back to that same club, and guess what? Judy was giving the speech again. Afterwards, I asked her why she kept giving that same speech, and she said, "Oh, I know people laugh, and it is funny. It's just I'm terrified if I stop giving the speech, I'll stop remembering Dad. You know, I'd give up everything I own to be able to give that speech just once while Dad was still alive. But we never find the right words until it's too late, do we?" That night, I read over the eulogies I'd written for my parents, and I rewrote parts. I remember the day I moved away to London and Mum made me sandwiches and gave me money for gas, even though it must have been killing her inside to see me go. And when I told her I joined Toastmasters, and she said she thought that was a good thing because I had needed to lose weight for a while. I remember Dad teaching me to ride a bike, then drive a car. And when he took us all on a family outing to London, promising us afternoon tea and scones at the Savoy Hotel. But when we got there and he saw the prices, we ended up sharing a Mars bar on the platform at the train station. And I was glad I was remembering these things now, not so I could win a contest or give some perfect eulogy, just so I could try and find the right words while the right people were still here to hear them. And I know what you're thinking. I haven't really written any poetic eulogies for my fellow Toastmasters. Let's close with a couple, shall we? A Toastmaster finished his speech, but his chair was just out of reach. It would quickly unravel when he sat on the gavel, and the whole of the room heard him screech. One more before we finish. A disqualified speaker went spur and protested, "This just isn't fair." Seething with rage, he stormed back to the stage and strangled the poor contest chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad I wasn't included in those eulogies that you did, but maybe I'll get you to write one ahead of time for when the time comes. All right. We have now ready to go to our speaker number 3, which is Judy Van Arsdale. And her topic is A Lady at the Bank. A Lady at the Bank, Judy Van Arsdale.
Little old lady walked into the headquarters of Bank of America one day, carrying a large bag of money. She looked around and saw a teller with no line. She made a beeline for that teller and demanded, "I must speak with your president," before depositing some money, a lot of money. "Lady, what's your name?" "Oh, Mary. Just call me Miss Mary." "You can't just walk in here and expect to see the president of our bank. He's a very busy man." "But I'm making a very large cash deposit." The receptionist looked at the big sack of money, then walked back to the rear of the offices. A couple minutes later, she walked up and back and said, "You're in luck this morning. He will see you. Follow me." When they reached into a large office with nicely tailored man dressed in three-piece suit behind the large, beautiful oak desk, the bank president saw her and stood up and said, "Ma'am, how can I help you?" Ms. Mary said, "I would like to open a savings account and place a bag of money with you." He said, "How much are you looking to deposit?" She said, without any hesitation, $180,000 exactly. As she dumped the bag of cash onto his desk. The president was surprised to see all this cash. So he asked her, "Ma'am, I'm surprised to see you're carrying so much cash around, especially at your age. How did you come by this much money?" She said. The lady replied, "I make bets." Surprised, the president then asked, "Bets? What kind of bets?" Miss Mary said, "Well, for example, I'll bet you 25,000 that your balls are square." "What?" chuckles the president. "You want to bet me 25,000 that my testicles are square?" "Yes, you heard me right. In fact, by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll bet you 25,000 that your balls will be square." The president smiled back, thinking he had a good one here. "Well, okay, you got yourself a bet," and shook her hand. Miss Mary then said, "Okay, but since there's a large sum of money involved, may I bring my lawyer with me tomorrow at 10 a.m. as a witness?" "Sure, that'll be fine." So that night, the president of Bank of America was very nervous about the bet and spent a long time inspecting himself in front of a mirror, checking his balls right and left, turning from side to side, make sure they're square, and again he verified he was sure that there was absolutely no way his balls would be square in the morning. So he was going to win that 25,000. The next morning at precisely 10 a.m., Miss Mary appeared with her lawyer at the president's office. She introduced the lawyer to the president of Bank of America and repeated the bet to him. 25,000, said the president. The president agreed with the bet again, and Miss Mary asked him to drop his pants so they could all see. Then the president was a little embarrassed, but then he thought to himself, well, 25,000 is a lot of money. Sure, he said, since it's a large sum of money, you must be absolutely correct and be able to verify that my balls are not square. So he dropped his pants, and as Miss Mary got on her knees, she got her hands on his balls and checked them right and left and checked them right and left. And then he noticed that the lawyer was quietly banging his head against the wall. The president of Bank of America asked Miss M, "What the hell is the matter with your lawyer?" The old lady replied, "Nothing, except that I bet him $100,000 that at 10 a.m. today, I will have the balls of the president of B of A in my hands." Back to you, Toastmaster.
Okay, I will be anxiously going on to speaker number 3. 4. Okay. All right. We have, I have, thank you for that. And I have Jose Viscara, and his title is, where did I lose it? Oh, I have it someplace. Oh, Man Acquiring Wisdom Through Trials and Tribulations. Man Acquiring Wisdom Through Trials and Tribulations. Jose Viscara.
Hello, Toastmasters. How are you today? I'm so happy to be here present. Being a Toastmaster is a fantastic experience. You listen to beautiful poetry, tall tale jokes and things like that. First of all, let me say, this past Thanksgiving, I purchased a beautiful, expensive glass of red wine for the meal. And I put it away thinking that it was gonna be safe. But the freaking turkey got a hold of that bottle and drank it all. And I was so upset. That freaking bird drank my wine. What am I going to do? And then my wife say, don't be stupid, Jose. When you eat the turkey, you're gonna enjoy your fine bottle of wine. I say, oh my God, no wonder we need a good wife to set us straight, right? So turning now for the next holiday, which is coming up. And now we're gonna celebrate Christmas. I'm a recruiter, so I have one track mind. People, a lot of fools that follow me. So each one has certain abilities, right? So that's what you want in a team. Yeah. Now, let's talk about wisdom. As you know, when you're young and foolish, you're learning about money, right? And kids like to spend money left and right because if they have a piggy bank, they don't want to touch that thing, right? They like holy grail. They don't want to touch. They want to buy a toy. It has daddy or mommy, but they don't touch their money, right? I remember when I was little, my uncle gave me $1, and he said, "Make sure you get more than $1 worth for your dollar." So I went so happy, and little Johnny saw me. "Hey, Jose, what happened?" "Oh, I have $1." And little Johnny said, "Listen, Jose, I'm going to give you 2 quarters for that $1 because 2 is more than 1. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm making more. You got it. So I traded my $1 for the 2 quarters, right? And I was jumping up and down because I have more than my uncle gave me. And then little Susie came around. "Why are you so happy, Jose?" "Well, guess what? I have $1, and little Johnny, I bet him. And now I have more than him. He gave me 2 quarters. And little Caesar, "Jose, you want more? I'll give you 3 dimes for your 2 quarters. "Really? 3 is more than 1, right?" And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I get more. Okay, I'm so happy. So I took my 3 quarters and I was so happy. Oh my God, I'm making more. I had 1, now I have 3. Oh my, I'm winning. And then little Tommy saw me. "What's going on, Jose?" "Well, I got 1 and then I got 2, now I got 3. I'm so happy." "Would you like to have 4, Jose?" "Oh, yes, because 4 is more than 3. You're right. So I'm going to give you 4 nickels for your 3 dimes. "Really? Oh my God, I'm winning." So I gave him my 4 quarters. He gave me the 4. I gave him 3 dimes, gave me the 4 nickels. And I was jumping up and went. And then when I see little Julie, "Jose, why are you so happy?" "Because I got more and more. I'm getting more every day." "What you got?" "Oh, I have 4 nickels." And they said, "You want more, Jose?" "Yeah. I give you 5 pennies for you." "Really? Oh my God." I was so happy. It's like, really celebrate. And then I went running to my uncle and said, Uncle, guess what? I got a lot more than you gave me." And when he saw what I did, he was so red. I said, wow, he's so happy. He's full of emotion. Look at that guy. And that's my end of my story. Now, why am I so happy? Because I love to teach. And I used to have some parents, you know what I mean? And let's talk about parents. And I used to have titles for those parents. Do you know what is a Tarzan parent? A Tarzan parent, they're always hanging around. You wish they leave around, but they hang around and they don't leave. Oh my God, please let me teach, right? And then I have the submarine parents. What is a submarine parent, you might ask? Well, those that start at the bottom and eventually they go down really quick. So I say, oh my God, please. But then we got the cougar run parents. You know what is a cougar run, right? Is a South Africa gold coin that is worth a lot of money. So when you have a cougar run parent, you wish you had 2 of them because they're so helpful. They're always supporting you, helping you, and the kids are so well behaved. So that's what is so important. So to complete this assignment, I realized through all my wisdom, I'm working on my 3rd last marriage. Finally, I decided to pick a good one. I realized that when God created man, he said, oh my God, what did I do? So he fixed the problem right away. And then he looked at the woman and said, woman, what would you like? And one said, oh, I like wine, love, I like warmth, I like multitask. And the lady was explaining. He said, you got it. And then he forgot about the man and look at him and say, oh, I'm sorry, man. I forgot to ask you, what would you like? And the only thing that I left for you is ego. And the man say, that's all I need. How big do you want it? And the man say, super size it, Lord. And say, you got it full, boom. Thank you very much, Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmaster, it was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jose. We are getting through these. All right. We have 4 down and we have 2 left to go. And speaker number 4, Ralph Dieter.
Number 5.
And my new car. My wife and my new car, Ralph Dieter.
Ralph, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Have you ever backed up in a parking lot and hit a parking lot pole? I have. Crunch. Ouch. With all the dents in my back bumper and everywhere else, they started calling me Wreck-It Ralph. So I bought a new car. It's a Subaru. It has lots of bells and whistles and smells great too. I love that new car smell. It's great on gas. It looks good. And my wife says I look good in it. It has all-wheel drive. I don't have to put on chains when I go up to the snow. Mount Baldy skiing, here I come. And the electronics in this vehicle are simply amazing. The gadgets include a backup camera that goes on automatically when I reverse, so no more dented fenders for me. There's also a front camera. It's there to help me avoid traffic accidents. It has a computer system that automatically slows you down. It even stops the car if you're about to have an accident. Sounds great, doesn't it? And it has one thing you would never expect in a car. It has my wife programmed into all these systems. My wife is an electronics engineer. She asked me if she could optimize my new car for me. Sure, I like improved performance, more horsepower, more torque, better cornering capability, whatever. Zoom, zoom. That's me. Now they call me Hot Rod Ralph. Well, I did get improved performance from my new car, but then funny things started happening. On my way home from work one day, my wife's video image pops up onto the Bluetooth communication system. Beep! And she said, hello, dear. Please stop by the market and bring home some milk and eggs. Well, that's useful. It saved me an extra trip to the store. Then the other day on the freeway, I started to accelerate and to get around the slowpoke that was ahead of me in the fast lane. When my wife's image popped up again, she said, be careful, dear. We want you home to come home safe. Well, I thought I was driving safe, so I continued to speed up. Then my wife came up again and said firmly, saying in a firm voice, Ralph, please slow down.
Do you want this applesauce?
Suddenly, my car's speed was cut from 85 to 70 miles per hour. Woo! What's going on here? When I got home, I asked my wife about this. She said it was probably one of those new safety features. By now, I'm really wondering about my car's communication system. The final straw was when I got it into my head to go to a girly bar near the local college campus. As I was turning into the parking lot of the girly bar, my wife came on again. Bing! Ralph, please don't go there. Come home. I just ignored it. I kept driving across the parking lot. Then my car's security system came on. The alarm system went off and lights were flashing. Bing! I hear my wife's firm voice saying, Ralph, please turn the car around and come home now. I just slowed down. I kept driving to the girly bar anyway. As I drove closer to the girly bar, my speed was cut to a crawl. All the alarms were on high volume. Woo, woo, woo! All the car lights were flashing and the car locks locked, and smoke was billowing out of the engine, and fireworks came out of the tailpipe of my car like it was the 4th of July. And my wife's angry face pops up. Bing! And she says, Ralph, don't you dare come home immediately. Immediately. A deep male computer voice then came up and said, countdown to driver ejection in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, driver ejection imminent. 4, 3. Well, I didn't have a parachute, so I turned my car around and left the parking lot of the girly bar. Several guys were watching all this from the parking lot near the girly bar. And one of them just shook his head and said, that must be one of those new models my friend Bubba told me about. It has a communications programmable feature for wives. That guy's in big trouble now. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. By now, that's way too much to bear for me. I'm bringing my car back to the dealer to get it repaired or get my money back. So guys, just be careful what you ask for. You just might get it, and your wife might get it too. Mr. Contest Master.
Well, if I think I know the name of that car, and I'm going to make sure my next car will not be that one. I'm a little safe. My wife's not an electrical engineer, so that does help a little bit.
Just don't give it to your wife.
Okay, we are at number 6. And the name of this one, this speaker number 6 is Richard Snyder. And his title is Homer's First Toastmaster Meeting. Homer's First Toastmaster Meeting, Richard Snyder.
Howdy, fellow mooses. Welcomes to my new palace. My old house blowed down in that big windstorm a few months ago. Ma's in the house fixing victuals for this here housewarming party. Gets you a drink and pulls up a chair. Set a piece because I'm going to tell you about my first Toastmasters meeting. About my first Toastmasters meeting. Brother Jethro done invited me to several of his Toastmasters clubs, and I was finally obliged to attend. Well, I no sooner got there than this swarm of Toastmasters swarmed in on me like bees to the honey, like I was a VIP or something. Well, it weren't long after that this Sergeant Arms come forward and asked everyone to sit down. But he didn't look like no sergeant to me. He weren't even wearing a uniform. Well, the next thing I heard is this Sergeant Arms introduced the club president. He'd come forward. He must have seen a bug on the table because he took out a hammer and he hit the table. Well, everybody started clapping after that, so I imagine he got the bug. Well, after that, someone in the audience asked everyone to bow their heads. Well, I was looking for some victuals to pray over, but I didn't see none. After a prayer, the president looked at me and asked if I'd introduce myself. Well, heck, I already knowed who I was, but Brother Jethro reminded me I was supposed to say my name. Howdy, folks. My name's Howard. My name's Homer. Not like Homer Simpson, only it ain't Homer Simpson, but Homer Gibbs. I used to be a Boy Scout years ago, and our motto was be prepared. So I come to this here meeting prepared to give a toast. Well, after that, I sat down and the president introduced the Toastmaster. Well, that was a real head scratcher. I thought they's all Toastmasters. Well, this here special Toastmaster come forward and introduced the first speaker, an icebreaker. Well, I was real excited. I thought this was finally my chance to get a drink. But you know, that man, he didn't break no ice. All he talked about was himself. And after that, a lady talked about her dream vacation. And when she was done, the people started to clap. And then they voted like a convention. Well, I was glad I brought my drinks because it looked like a long night ahead. Well, after that, they come to the section they call the table topics. And I looked all around the table. I didn't see nothing worth talking about. Well, the topic master asked a couple questions. The people spoke for a minute, 2 minutes. Then she asked if I'd like to speak. Well, heck, I didn't want to be no party poop, so I said, why not? Well, my question was, what's in a name? Well, that was a mighty peculiar question. So I walked slow to the front like I seen the others done. What's in a name? We all has names. My name's Homer. Only wasn't my real name when I was born. My parents gave me the name Howard. Long time ago when I was just a lad, I was supposed to fight this here boy, but he was older and bigger than I was. I didn't want to fight him. So the kids commenced to calling me Howard the Coward. Well, I didn't care much for that none. Wasn't long after that, I was playing baseball. I was supposed to hit this baseball off this stick they call the tee. Well, I hit it just as hard as I could. And the coach, he said, shake your legs, start running. So I run as fast as I could. I ran to first, on to second. They were still having troubles with that ball. So I ran to third. And the coach said, run home. So I did what the coach said. I ran home. When I got there, Pop was powerful, angry. He said he was going to give that coach a piece of his mind. Well, the coach, he started laughing and laughing. He said it was all a misunderstanding. Well, after that, he commenced to call me Homer, and my teammates did the same. Never cared much for Howard the Coward, nohow. My last name's Gibbs. Nothing peculiar about it, but I remember one year I was teaching the driver's education at the local church. They said they chose me, but I figured they probably couldn't find anyone else to teach a bunch of juvenile delinquents how to drive. Anyways, on the first night, the students asked what they should call me. Well, I remembered back to that old time movie, In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier. They call me Mr. Gibbs. And if you want to pass this year class, you'll call me Mr. Gibbs too. Well, they done called me Mr. Gibbs, and they all done passed. Last I heard, only 4 or 7 had been in an accident. They'd all still alive and hadn't killed no one. Well, I sat down and those people started clapping. I wasn't sure if they was clapping because I'd done good or because I'd done talking. Well, those Toastmasters, they voted again. And then it was time for the report card. I was real nervous about this because my report cards were never worth reporting about. But they said this was the most important part of the meeting. They introduced a couple of evaluators to talk about what the speakers did good and did not so good. Then they introduced the grammarian. He was going to talk about what we said good, not so good. When he came to me, I was powerful nervous. I was sweating bullets. Well, he said, Homer, we're going to give you a break tonight on account of you're a guest and all. Well, I was mighty happy of that. As you can probably tell, my grammar ain't that good. My grandpa ain't much better for that matter. Well, the meeting was just about over, so they introduced brought this president back to the top front again. He must have seen another bug because he took out that hammer and hit the table again. The people were clapping again, and that was the end of the meeting. Well, I stayed around for a few minutes to talk to the Toastmasters. They said there was a lot of Toastmaster clubs in the area, and they didn't want to deprive those other clubs of my speaking skills. Well, I was mighty happy about that. I was mighty happy Brother Jethro reminded me of wearing my Sunday best. Heck, I even wear socks and shoes for the occasion. Well, fellow Mooses, I don't know if I was ever going to go back to Toastmasters, but if I do, I'm going to have to wear my gloves because my hands were powerful sore from all that clapping. And if I do go back, I'm going to wear my special hat with the bottle in back, so don't bother other speakers during the meeting. Well, as Porky Pig would say, a-ba-dee, a-ba-dee. That's all, folks. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, Richard. Hey, and I love that background too. I think Homer, yes, I think we have be proud of. All right, we are ready. Okay, well, you have timing report from my spouse over here, and it looks as though all of them qualified. So you guys can begin thinking about how you want to submit your ballots. And we will again go through the same process, and we will call upon each of the speakers to talk about their club and briefly talk about what inspired them to get involved. Okay, starting with speaker number one, Alipio.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters. I started with Toastmasters back in '95 when I was in Seattle. And I was with Toastmasters for a streak of 15 years. Then I had a health crisis in which I turned to fasting ultimately to get healthy again. So I was away from Toastmasters for 9 years and I restarted last year. I'm competitive by nature, so the reason is because I find contests the fastest way to improve in anything. So I always enjoy contests because I feel I learn the most, and I also learn from my fellow contestants. So thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Contest Chair.
Okay, and our second speaker, Dan.
Hello. So I'm in London at the moment. I've been a Toastmaster for 3 years. It's 4:30 a.m., so getting a little bit late now. But I come to California a lot, and I visited quite a few clubs out in your district when I come. And the one that worked out time-wise best once we went online earlier in the year, I was able to start visiting online. But was Tom's club, Saturday morning Toastmasters, is it? Which is Saturday kind of afternoon here. So that was a good one to go to. So I joined that club, which has been great fun being able to go to that every couple of weeks. And so that gave me the chance to come here. Now I've been to the Speakers Bureau a few times and really enjoying it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Tom?
Yes.
I launched the humor poll, but I had left Ralph off the list, so I'm relaunching it, and this time it has everyone in it. So please vote this time.
I'm from Chicago. I'm used to voting twice. Who are my speakers? I'm going to get who are my 3 volunteers?
You want to call him?
There we go.
Tom.
Oh, and Judy is there too. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll just go with those 4 that volunteered.
Okay. You want to call on the next person? Well, you've only done 2 of these people.
Did you want to call on Judy to share next?
Yes. Judy, she's telling Connie's over here telling me something. And all right, Judy, you're next.
Okay. Well, as a little girl, I was known as the dictionary girl because I loved words. I loved the nuances and subtle meanings of words. and I enjoyed marrying one word with another word. So as I grew older, I transitioned naturally onto speeches. Good speeches inspire me. I aspire to become one, to become speakers such as Abe Lincoln, Kennedy, President Kennedy. That's why it's such a pleasure to get back into Toastmasters. And I'm thankful for the privilege to be here with you all tonight. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you very much. And our fourth speaker, Jose Escara.
Yes, I'm part of the Club 815 with Connie. And this is my first time in Toastmasters. And I didn't expect to get so much out of it. Because also, alongside with being in Toastmasters, I'm an author. And by looking at the speeches and the passion, and all of them wrote, that means you're authors too, right? And the passion comes out. And also the speeches, like she said, it is so important to listen to great speakers, and great speakers improve you as a human being. And if you don't have, the best way to have a good speech, you have to be in love, or you have to be very pissed off about something. That's when the passion comes out. Because if you don't have any feeling, it's impossible to give a great speech. And to me, it is so important to look at great speakers so you can learn from them. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this great group. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you, Jose. There is a lot of truth to that. I myself have said that I think speaking has made me a better writer. I never liked English much in school, but it made me, if I was in English now, I might just do okay, thanks to speaking. And also you were talking about having a passion, having the message is the magic, is what I used to always tell my student speakers when I was coaching them. Okay, Ralph, I think I know where your inspiration is, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Ralph Dieter. I've been a Toastmaster for 10 years. I'm the president of Club 5669, the Route 66 Club. I'm vice president of education for Club 110 Speechmasters. I was president of that club when we became President's Distinguished last year. So the action team was very effective for that one. And I joined a new club recently called Standing Ovation. I'm the sergeant at arms for that club. And Lois, who was very loquacious at the beginning of the meeting, happens to be my wife. Recently, one ran for mayor of Upland. Unfortunately, the voters threw her a curve. I'll just leave it at that. But she did well. She did very well. So that's what I have to say, Mr. Contest Master.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ralph, for participating and bringing that fun story to us. And our final speaker is Homer. Oh, excuse me, Howard. No, it's Richard Snyder.
Hello, fellow Mooses. I mean, Toastmasters. My name is Richard Snyder, AKA Homer. I belong to 3 clubs. Route 66 Toastmasters. We meet the first and third Fridays. Normally in Upland, but now we're meeting online. So we're easy to get to. And I also belong to That's Debatable in Redlands. And we also meet online. And then finally, I belong to Past District Governors / Directors Club in Founders District. Sounds like a long way to drive, but we're meeting online as well. And what inspired me tonight? Well, I often thought, what would Hillbilly think of Toastmaster meeting? And the rest of it pretty much wrote itself. Mr. Toastmaster.
Very good, Richard. That was a lot of fun for us to hear about. I thought it was going to be a different Homer.
You're muted again, Tom.
Okay. As we're on to the table topics contest, and we did have 4 people sign up. It would be Ray Robles, Michelle Althizer, and I'm not sure that I see. Michelle, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, and Richard Snyder and Judy Van Arsdale. So we do have 4, and I was hoping to be able to add some other volunteers, but since we're getting a little bit pressed for time, I think 4 is all we'll be able to do. And let me quickly go over those rules. And for those of you who are interested, here's an original set of the rules that we wrote. Not that you can tell much from that, but they did in the rules we wrote, in fact, those rules they wrote words we sent around for days putting together. Jerry Weitzman, yeah, Jerry Weitzman and a number of other Toastmasters sat around. We came up with words to be used. We came up with topics and categories and put together a whole lot of contests. And finally, it started in Division C and went on to 3 divisions and went on to the entire district and division, the district Founders District about that same time, around 1980. But anyway, the part of the ballot is a 20% portion that goes toward use of the word of the day. So it'll be important to try to use the word of the day and use it correctly so that your audience can make a decision about how well you responded. The topics are not all, it's not like we do now where everybody has the same topic and the rest of the people are outside the room. You will get different topics, and so some may be harder than others, but the audience, the judges, will just take that into account. And so let me start with my list of asking you to choose one of the cards, ace, 2, 3, or 4, so you can choose your order, and then I will show you how I have predetermined what your choice equals to. And so I think the first name on my list is Ray. Which card do you choose?
Tom, was that from 1 through 4?
Yeah, ace, 1, 2, 4. Ace, 2, 3, or 4.
Tom, I'm choosing card number 3.
Card number 3. And Michelle, you choose one of the 3 that are left.
Ace.
Ace. All right. And Richard, you get a choice of 2.
Or 4.
I'll take 4.
And then Judy, well, how come Judy is always just gets what's left? But anyway, so Judy is the number 2nd speaker.
No, she's
right?
number 2. But we know what it is.
Oh, okay, yeah. All of them have choices. Okay, let me show you my my predetermined list so everybody knows I'm being honest about this. So if you chose the ace, you're the 3rd speaker. If you chose the 2, you're the 2nd speaker. If you chose the 3, you're the 4th speaker. And if you chose the 4, you're speaker number 1. And I will read the word off once in the beginning. Timing, oh yes, timing is 1, 1.5, and 2. So the green comes on at 1, yellow at 1.5, red at 2, and we will still give you, I'm not sure this is correct, but I will give you 30 seconds grace anyway. So you know that what the qualifications are. I will read the word of the day. This is from, I'm almost positive, it's from the Division C speech contest in 1980, 40 years ago. I will give you the word and define it, give you the word and define it, do it twice. And then I will ask the speaker to choose a number from 1 to 10, because in that particular contest, there were 10 available. And so you'll get to pick your own poison. And I will read you that topic, and I won't change any different, whatever that topic was. Remember, each of the contests had a number of topics, and so you will get whatever that topic is. All right, speaker number 1.
Oh, tell the word first.
I know it. When I find out which is who is speaker number 1.
Richard.
Richard. Okay, Richard will be the first speaker. Here's the word of the day. I will read it twice. Blunder. To make to make a gross mistake, a serious error. It would be a serious blunder for the contestants in this contest to fail to use the word of the day. The word of the day is blunder, meaning to make a gross mistake, a serious error. It would be a serious blunder for the contestants in this contest to fail to use the word of the day, and the word of the day is blunder. All right, Richard, pick a number from 1 to 10.
I'll take 5.
Number 5. Our high school is spending too much money on sports. Our high school is spending too much money on sports. Richard Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Our high school is spending too much money on sports. Well, that's a very appropriate question for me because I teach high school. I work with special needs students, and I see the disparity every day when I go to school, every day. The disparity, the amount of money that goes toward athletics versus scholastics. And I'll give you an example. I teach at Pomona High School in the Pomona Unified School District. A number of years ago, Pomona High applied for we didn't have a real field. We used to play at another field, a junior college field. Well, we applied for money. Well, we got it. But because we got it, they had to give the money, $5 million, I believe, per field for each of the high schools in Pomona. Pomona High School, Gary High School, Ganesha High School. 3 high schools, $5 million each. Wasn't long after that, I remember I was making copies and the copy machine, which is ancient, broke down. Yes, it's a huge blunder. We spend so much money on athletics. And look at us, we're falling behind other countries in scholastics, way behind countries like Japan and China. Yes, we're making a huge blunder and spending so much money. How many of our athletes actually go on beyond high school to play in college, let alone the pros? And yet we spend millions and millions every year on sports at the cost of scholastics. So let's stop the blunder. Let's put the money into scholastics where it really belongs. And let's make kings and great future. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. And we have speaker number 2 is Judy Van Arsdale. Judy, pick a number from 1 to 10, but don't pick number 5.
Number 3.
Number 3. Should the news media present more good news? Should the news media present more good news? Judy Van Arsdale.
Since the beginning of time, news has been something that people woke up to listen, to see what happened during the night while they were shut-eyed. People commit blunders all their life. Youth is a blunder, manhood a struggle, and old age a regret. The news capture them all. The sad, the happy moments. But in the end, we like happy endings. So should news report fake news and bad media and everything out of the closet? Or should they report that there's hope for mankind after all? There's a rainbow at the end of the sky, that this is not all there is, that there's tomorrow for all of us. So yes, definitely they should report the good news. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Judy. And now speaker number 3, Michelle Altheiser. Pick a number, but don't pick 3 and 5.
I will take the lucky 1.
Lucky 1. Is the current movie rating system G, PG, R, PG-13, X satisfactory? Is the current movie rating system G, PG, R, or X satisfactory? Michelle Altheiser.
This is not something that I lose sleep about. When now you can stream anything you want. You can stream XXX. You can stream rated G. You get Disney Plus for free if you have Verizon. Why did we leave Verizon? Who knew that was going to happen? But PG and PG-13, they need to be taken out into a field and burned, because PG and PG-13, nobody understands. What makes something PG-13? It seems like that's where all the horror movies go. And therefore, I don't want to watch any of them. 13-year-olds can watch you get dismembered, get your guts dumped into the driveway, and somehow older kids can't? Wait, is it younger kids can? I don't know. I think whoever came up with PG and PG-13 was drinking too much, and that's how that big blunder happened. Make it PG. If you can't watch it by yourself and you need a parent, it's PG. But who has parents anymore watching TV with them? I think instead they watch everything online or on their phone or on their PlayStation. So really, PG, PG-13 need to die, and everything else would be just groovy. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michelle. And we get to the cleanup hitter, Ray Robles. Pick a number, not 1, not 3, and not 5. You have a few choices.
Number 7, Tom.
Number 7. Can a person spend too much time indulging in a hobby? Can a person spend too much time indulging in a hobby?
Spending too much time in a hobby only is valid if you're achieving great joy, passion, and you know that you were working on your God-given gift. Spending not enough time on your habit or your hobby can lead to various issues. Currently, in the state of our world with COVID, one of the things we need to be very, very conscious of is what? Our immune system. We talked earlier about the news and the effect it can have on us. What does negative news do? What kind of impact does it have on the immune system? Negative? Positive? I'm here to say positive. Just like our immune system being affected by the news, our immune system can also be affected by what we do in our lives. What we do in our lives is based upon our habits, our passion, and our joy. If our habits lead to creativity, positive feelings, higher vibrations, I'm here to say it's a good thing. Can we spend too much time on a habit? That would be a blunder that you'd have to experience yourself. I'm here to say, no, we cannot spend too much time on a habit, unless it's a negative habit, unless it's having a negative effect on our immune system. If not, go forth, make the most of your habits, and enjoy your life. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Ray. We have had a fun day, and I promised myself we're really short on time, but I'm sure there'll be a ballot coming up. Can you have a timer's report?
Everyone qualifies.
Everyone qualifies, and we had no misqualifications all day long. That's really great. I'm sure when the ballot comes up, but in the meantime, I will use this time to give you my ancient table topics. What do you think? Michelle? Okay. What I wanted to do is, with this a little bit of time that I have, is give you the rest of these antique table topics so you know what you might have gotten if you'd have chosen a different number. Now, we did hear number 1. Number 2, is it a good idea to make New Year's resolution? Number 4, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? I'm sure someone would have liked to respond to that one. Number 6, would you sign up for a travel agency trip to Mars? 40 years ago, they were talking about that, right? Number 8, what are the best years of one's life? Number 9, respond to the old adage, money does not make one happy. And number 10, what type of lifestyle lengthens our lives? Do you have an idea what kind of topics were on the minds of people 40 years ago? And I want to thank everyone for being here. The big thing I would like to encourage to get out of this is that maybe some clubs will choose to do a table topic or a Tall Tales event at their club. Make it a theme for a particular week and have some Tall Tales and use your imagination and let yourself go a little bit over the top and have fun with it. I think our presenters each had fun giving their topics, and I know I had fun listening to them, and I definitely miss hearing Tall Tales as a contest item. Do we have any results? Oh, yeah, Zoom meeting in January. Maybe Sunny even has something to share. We have some things planned for January. We're not thinking that probably at this point we will have anyone being able to go for their QS. We will be working more. I noticed that it came out on Tuesday with the trio, so that we will get a little more publicity maybe. That's good. And we are going to be working on Friday with some of the leadership to get us more involved with getting on the district website for Speakers Bureau. So those are some things that are coming up. Okay, Sunny, do you have a result yet? And
They're in the chat, Tom.
Those people that are getting, so make sure you get me addresses so that I can send you your trophies.
And the correct names.
Yeah, name that you want on the plate that goes on the trophy. So, okay, Sunny.
Oh, before you announce the winners, Tom, I just want to let people know as he mentioned, the January meeting is all about Zoom. If you are interested in doing a presentation, here are some ideas for topics. Or you can come up with your own. Note, there's a couple of round robin options. And so if you want practice leading a round robin, here are some ideas for that. Just email me or Tom if you are interested in presenting. The one thing I do want to say is if you choose one of the technical topics, which are over here on the right, I will ask that you send me your content at least a week in advance, because we want to make sure that everything we present is accurate. Okay, and I can send this out via email as well if you're looking for ideas.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you for that. I know I was really excited when Sunny said she would do this. And so I think it's a really important thing to help strengthen the clubs and the members in the clubs and the presentations that they make. And January is perfect because you'll have 6 months to appreciate the value of it. Who knows, maybe by June or July, we may get to meet in real person, but many clubs are going to go hybrid, so they'll have a chance to still use that Zoom technology. So I think this is such a valuable and such a timely opportunity to learn about doing better quality Zoom meetings and better quality Zoom presentations. And I so much appreciate Sunny being willing to do this, and appreciate that she will organize this major job to be doing. So I really much appreciate. I didn't describe it as major when I first brought it up to her. I made it sound really easy. So then that's why I think I got her to nod in the right direction. But anyway, thank you for doing that. And I know it'll be a great service to the district and to the members of the district. Okay, do we know the date for the January meeting, and do we have any winners yet?
Yeah, they're in the chat, or do you want me to announce them?
Why don't you go ahead and announce it? You're my major helper, major person in charge of this thing. You get that little bit of glory of announcing the winners, and make sure though that I get proper exact names as you want them on the trophy, and addresses so that when I mail it to you, it doesn't come back to me.
Okay, table topics. Michelle takes first place.
All right.
Second place.
And you have a second?
Second is Richard Snyder.
Okay.
And third is Ray.
Okay. All right. That's good. Where am I? Write it down. Yeah. All right. And next?
For Tall Tales, I'll announce second place first, Michael Alexander.
Okay.
And first place is Kevin.
All right.
Majors.
Very good. Congratulations.
No
Kevin,
third place.
Kevin, how many Speakers Bureau meetings have you attended?
I believe this is my first.
I believe that too. That's why I asked the question. So congratulations.
All right.
And
In humor, third place is Judy Van Arsdale.
okay,
Second place, Richard Snyder. First place, Dan McGill.
okay, wonderful day, wonderful presentations, and I'm not looking forward to seeing how much it costs me to send the trophy to London. But we will we will see. I don't think it's all that bad.
Did you want third here? We're not giving up thirds.
Oh, did you have a third? We were just keeping track of it. We're only getting trophies to first and second, but I would like to know third in Tall Tales.
She didn't have one. Did not have a third.
Did not have one.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. I don't know when Sonny's going to shut us up, but maybe a few people want to have a few words if we're still available to be here. There may be some commentary that wants to go on afterwards, but we are officially at our time over at a few minutes over.
Tom,